That's what I'm talking about.
Wait! Okay, now, from the beginning.
Hit it, boys.
Welcome to Higher Ed Pulse, your Monday morning energizer covering insights and trends in higher ed marketing and enrollment. I'm Mallory Willsea, bringing over 15 years of ed tech and marketing expertise to your earbuds.
And I'm Seth Odell, joining the Pulse with my own adventures from leading marketing at top universities to founding Kanahoma, one of the industry's fastest growing digital marketing agencies.
Each week, we bring you the kind of insider insights you typically only find over cocktails with your pals at a conference.
It's fast, it's fun, and it's designed for you, the busy higher ed professional.
You're not just listening to another podcast.
You're checking the pulse of higher education.
Higher Ed Pulse is part of the Enrollify network, a robust collection of podcasts designed to help higher ed professionals like you grow. Explore our other shows at Enrollify.org. Enrollify is made possible by Element 451, the next generation AI student engagement platform, helping institutions create meaningful and personalized interactions with students. Learn more at element451.com. And we're back live at the eduWeb Summit. I now have the pleasure of talking to Mike Morland, the Director of Communications and Marketing in the Office of Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion at the University of Michigan. Mike, it's so great of you to spend a few minutes talking to us today because I know you have a presentation this afternoon and you've got to prep for it. So thank you for joining the Pulse. How are you doing this morning?
I'm good. Thanks for having me, Mallory. It's great to be here. This is actually my first time in Philadelphia, and I've had a chance to wander around a little bit. And I don't know, it feels like I've been here before, even though it's the first time. So
we are in such a cool area,
Yes.
the Rittenhouse Square area of Philly. It's my favorite part of Philly. The restaurants, the shopping, that reading terminal is right outside. Have you gotten in there yet?
Yes, I have. It was awesome to check that out.
It is so cool. You can get lost and I think just eat your way out.
Right. And of course, I had my first official Philly cheesesteak while I was here, and it was amazing.
Classic. I would have been upset if you left Philly and didn't get that.
I would have been upset with myself. So.
All right. Well, we're here because when I was taking a look at the attendee list, you jumped out immediately because of your role within an Office of Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion. And having talked to so many professionals over the years, it can be a challenge to even have an individual on a campus in a role like that, let alone an office with what you shared with me a few minutes ago, has more than 60 people in it. I mean, that's just incredible. So tell me a little bit about that. How long have you been on this team, and what's your particular area of focus?
Right. So I joined this office around 2015. And, my role was designed to help promote the work that we're doing. And as I mentioned, there was 4 programming units for this office that have anything to do from student support to community outreach to finding ways to create pipelines to the university to serve underprivileged communities. So the work to me, was instantly something that I felt passionate about prior to working in this office. I actually worked for the university in the city of Detroit. And so a lot of the work we were doing there is similar to what we were doing in Ann Arbor. So for me, it was kind of a natural transition to come to the main campus. And we've had a number of these units that work under our office had been around for 10, 20, 30 years doing great work and advancing access to U of M, which is a public institution, and finding ways to make it more accessible.
Yeah. Let's dig into that then. Like, what are some of the programs or ways that you are making U of M more accessible to maybe underserved populations?
Right. So one of the programs that is relatively new in the grand scheme of the work that we're doing is Wolverine Pathways. It was started right around the time the office started. And so it's quickly coming up on 10 years, but it is a program that serves communities in Michigan where they're maybe under-resourced, where there's a lot of amazing students who may not have some of the same opportunities as students in other school districts. So what we did is found a way to connect with these students. We provide additional education opportunities on campus. Students from 6th through 12th grade can enroll and go through the program. When they complete the program, if they're admitted to the University of Michigan, they receive a 4-year tuition scholarship to the university. So it's a great opportunity to find ways to connect amazing students with an amazing university.
That's incredible. The fact that there's a scholarship on the other side of this, that's huge. Right. And I'm sure that makes an education at UM possible for a number of these students.
And to me, one of the things that I feel like is a great example of the university serving the public good across the state of Michigan is if students aren't admitted to the University of Michigan, it isn't, for nothing. The program is designed to help all students find a pathway to college, whether it's through the state of Michigan or throughout the country. And I think our most recent numbers show that. I think every student who has gone through the program has gone to college somewhere in the country, if not at Michigan. So it's really about supporting not just a Michigan education, but continuing education. And I think as a public institution, that's something that we pride ourselves in, is making, education a priority and not something that is only for, people who come from means. It's something we want everybody to have an equal access to.
Yeah, you and your colleagues should really be able to hang your hat on that success story. Even if it was, 90% or higher, you're saying it's almost 100% of students going through find their way to college. Wow. And I can tell you're a data guy because you're throwing out these stats and numbers. But as a director of communications and marketing, how are you bringing that humanizing component to a program like this? Where does storytelling fit in?
Right. So for us, I think it's kind of a twofold. Everything we do is driven by data, which is important. Our Vice Provost for Equity and Inclusion and Chief Diversity Officer, Tabby Chavis, has been leading this work across the nation. She does, a fantastic job leading this office. Her career is driven by data. And so, it trickles from the top down that everything we do kind of has that focus of, finding ways to communicate this data to a community. And so that's where my team comes in, is finding ways to do the storytelling. So we want to make that humanizing connection that, as much as the data drives this, well, who are the people behind it? Who are the faces behind it? Who are the people doing the work, and who are the people that are benefiting from this? And how are we changing lives? So we're utilizing websites across the university. We're making connections with community partners. We're on social media. We're finding ways to tell stories and get students involved. Our team specifically has a number of students who work as interns. One program that we've actually been doing for the last 2 or 3 semesters now is called an Artist in Residence. And we ask a student to come in and help us create visualized graphics for social media to highlight cultural events or cultural holidays through the lens of that student artist. And they don't have to be an art major, which is, something that we, again, being inclusive, a lot of people have a lot of great ideas. And so we've been very fortunate to have some amazing artists who have done some great work for us. So for us, finding ways to connect the work with students, making sure that they're as much involved in our process and communicating, because at the end of the day, we're serving students and they're a huge part of our community. So being able to disseminate the message across the state through our community, I think is something that I'm incredibly proud of in working with this office.
That's amazing. So I have a suspicion that it is the powerful combination of this storytelling focus with the emphasis around data and outcomes that is allowing you and your team to continue to gain additional resources within the institution and, all the way up to the top, showcase, this is why this work really matters. Am I right on that?
Right. Yeah. So every year we produce from our DEI strategic plan at the university, we produce a report that shows the progress we've made. So it's not just, hey, we're doing this work, but what are the outcomes of it? What are the differences that are made? And so that itself, we have a whole team that's working across our office, collaborating with the 51 schools and colleges and units from across the university to find out, what has worked, what hasn't, where have you pivoted, and putting this together in an annual report that we share with our community every year. So it's, our job as a university is to be transparent in our information and making sure that, the work that we're putting into this is easily accessible, but also easy to digest. And so that's part of our job as a team, as well as finding ways to take very complex data and outcomes and a lot of information and making it easy for somebody who may be new to this or somebody who's really in depth in it, equally engaged in it.
Amazing. So we did know you have a presentation this afternoon,
Yes.
Advocating Change Through Communications. And I know that you are going to be giving your attendees some really great and actionable takeaways and steps if they want to bring more emphasis on DEI back to their campus, whether or not they have a huge program to support them. So walk me through that. What are maybe your 2 or 3 biggest takeaways from this session so our listeners who aren't here can pretend they are?
Yeah. So for this presentation, I think a lot of our focus is going to be on talking about resources. We're a small team. We're a team of 4 doing communications for DEI at the University of Michigan, a very large institution. So helping people who come from institutions where they're working with small teams, how can they make the most of the resources they have? Also, part of our job is clearing up any lack of understanding that people may have around this work. And then also any resistance you face, both internally, externally, in regards to like the outcomes and, what are the outcomes of this? So we're hoping, by sharing this information with higher ed professionals, that they'll be able to take the successes that we've had and also some of the lessons learned we've had too, and learn from that. And our goal at the end of the day is to continue to find ways to help people tell their stories at their institutions and find success in the work that they do. Because at the end of the day, as communicators, if you're given information, but you can't articulate it well to your community, then a lot of that great message is lost. And so there's a big responsibility. And so being able to share that information, I think, with this community, especially at eduWeb, I think is, a great opportunity for us as an institution to share, but also learning from others as well. So definitely a two-way street.
Incredible. Well, I would be remiss if I didn't note we have a 5-part Pulse Check series on the Pulse happening right now that is focused on DEI with Dr. Cody Nielsen and Dr. Tamika Ferguson. They're inviting experienced change leaders both within and beyond higher ed into conversations that are focused on responsive leadership, addressing campus crises, navigating institutional shifts, and more, all through the lens of equity and inclusion. So if you enjoyed this conversation with Mike today, keep an eye on this feed for the next couple Thursdays. These episodes will be dropping. And last week's episode, part 1, Learn to Live with the Noise, was with President Pat McGuire from Trinity. And it is just an incredible listen. So highly recommend, 10 out of 10. But Mike, it has been such a pleasure to chat with you today. Thanks for taking some time out of your busy schedule. Any parting thoughts for our listeners?
I think just continue the great work that you do. And, for those of you engaged in whether it's DEI or communications, or if those bridge like my work does, keep at it. People are listening. People want to hear those stories, and we, want to hear them. So thank you for having me. And yeah, thank you.
All right. If you want to connect with Mike, we will drop a link to his LinkedIn in the show notes. Everyone, we'll see you next time on The Pulse. Bye-bye. The Higher Ed Pulse is part of the Enrollify podcast network. If you like this podcast, chances are you'll like other Enrollify shows too. Our podcast network is growing by the month, and we've got a plethora of marketing, enrollment, and higher ed technology shows that are jam-packed with stories, ideas, and frameworks, all designed to empower you to be a better higher ed professional. Our show helps higher ed marketers and admission pros find their next big idea and features a selection of the industry's best as your hosts. Learn from Brian Gross, Eddie Francis, Jenny Lee Fowler, and so many of your favorite leaders in higher ed. Enrollify is made possible by Element 451, the next generation AI student engagement platform, helping institutions create meaningful and personalized interactions with students. Learn more at element451.com.